YouTube, Team Sanity here to give you another deck profile. Today we're going to be discussing 60 card Lair Infernoids. So first we have 2 Infernoid Anunku. What he does is you banish 3 Infernoids from grave or hand, and you can special summon them. And then when he's special, you can just wipe the board of every other monster. He also contribute a monster, including himself, and then negate and banish the effect of a spell and trap. And then next we run 2 Deviati. He's pretty much just like Anunku. The only difference is that when he's special, he wipes the back row, and he contribute a monster to negate and banish the effects of a monster. And so I wouldn't recommend playing 1 or 3 of these. 2 is just perfect because 3 is kind of like cloggy, and 1 is just you won't see it enough. So I would highly recommend that you should play 2. Next, we run 2 Harmadic. So you can banish 1 Infernoid either from hand or grave to special summon him from the hand and not the grave. And so what he does is he can pop a monster for free, but he can't attack. And he could also tribute a monster to banish something in your opponent's graveyard. So that's, something really nice. And then we have 2 Patrulia. He's basically the same thing as Harmadic, but the only thing is he pops back row. And also he contributes himself just like Harmadic to banish something in your opponent's grave. And next we have 1 Sidesmith and then 2 Sajet. So I run 2 and 1 because when you activate your Void Feast, you want to get at least one of him out. And if you end up drawing into him and you don't have another copy in your deck, then something is just bound to go wrong. You won't be able to get your Void Feast off. So that's why I run 2. And I don't run a Tondel. I prefer Sidesmith over a Tondel because Sidesmith, when he swings or when he declares an attack, he can banish something out of your opponent's out of your opponent's extra deck. And then last but certainly not least for the Infernoids, we run triple Decatron. It's honestly like the best one in the deck. If you get Void Feast off, you summon 2 of these and then the Sajet I just told you about, and you basically have like 2 negates, and then you can banish something in their graveyard. So, that's really nice as well. Next for the Lair part of the deck, we have 2 Darkest Diablos. I don't run 3. 3 is honestly unnecessary. 1, you won't see it like as much as you'd like it to. When you have Lair out, it's always a good thing to have him either in your hand or in your grave because he's just an easy, special summon when you tribute a dark monster. So that's, something that you definitely would like to, run in this deck. And then next we have Arima. He's basically searching for the Lair of Darkness. You want to see Lair as quickly as possible because with you popping out all your Infernoids and things like that, you want to be able to tribute off their monsters, to get your effects and things like that. So he's mostly just, a terraforming. And then next we run triple Lilith. So she's basically used to get our viruses or, our Void Feast, depending on the situation. There's a few good traps that you could play. I don't run in permanents because that's just, too expensive, out of my budget right now. But she searches a good amount of, regular traps, and it's good for getting you out of almost any situation. So that's why I keep her at 3. And then, that's it for the Lair build. So next we have a small Lightsworn engine. So we play 3 copies of Raiden, no others, because with him during the main phase you can just mill 2, and then if you mill the Lightsworn monster gains 200 attack, but that doesn't really matter. And then during the end phase, he can mill 2 more. And then on top of that, he's a level 4 tuner, so we can go into a lot of synchro plays with him if we have the option. And then next we run 2 Phoenix Rhino Warriors. 3 with Clog. 1, I prefer 2 because you can use 1 for a tour guide, and then you could have the other one just for just to send another fiend in the grave. All the Infernoids are fiends, so he's really useful for just like sending shit into the grave so you can have like, you know, Infernos to banish. And then, as I said, we play one tour guide just for the Phoenix Rhinos and then one snow. So I would love to run 2 snows, but ironically, you know, I just don't have enough room, even though it is 60 cards. But I mean, 1 is good enough, especially end game when you have just like a ton of spells and traps in your grave that you don't need. You can just banish 7 of them and then get her out and put one of their, you know, shit in like face down defense position. And then, so that's it for the monsters. Next, we have triple Lair of Darkness. So you want to see this card as much as possible because, like I said, if you can get Void Feast and this out, you should like shut them down for an entire turn. And then you already have your like majority of your big Infernoids in the grave. So once you shut them down for that turn, you can take advantage of that and summon, you know, a Nunku or Deviate or whatever, you know, the situation, you know, wants you to, you know, or needs you to summon at that, you know, moment. So next we have triple Void Banishment. Honestly, we don't use a second effect. I only use just to search a Void Feast. So you can basically discard a card and then search the Void Feast, set the Void Feast, and then on their turn you activate it and send this to the grave to, you know, get your 3 Infernoids out. So yeah, the second it doesn't stay on the field that long, honestly. Like I don't use its second effect at all. And then next we have triple Void Imagination. This is the same thing with Banishment. It can't search Void Feast, but it's always good to have more Void spells so I can have something to send with the Void Feast, you know? And then, as I said earlier, we have a small Lightsworn package. So we just run triple charge. And so basically you mill 3 and then you can search level for a lower Lightsworn from your deck. So basically the Raiden. So yeah. And then next we have 2 Twin Twisters. So this is just like preference, to be honest. You can take these out for like Ashes, Ogres, and Permanents, anything you'd like, you know. But like I don't have those, so I just threw these in there just for back row control. And the discard is pretty good because our Infernoids don't mind being in the grave. So next we have 1-ofs only. So we have card destruction. Like I said earlier with the Twin Twisters, our Infernoids have no problem with being in the grave. In fact, we want them in the grave because, I mean, then we could just, like, you know, banish them and then get to our Nunkus and Deviates. And we also use them for snow. So, and it, you know, interrupts your opponent a little. So it's never a bad thing to have this go off. Next, we have Mass Change 2. So this is kind of some spice I added into the deck. You can, if you have Lair or if you have like an Arima, you can just use the Arima to get out a Dark Law. In our 1-ofs, we have Burial from a Different Dimension, 1-for-1, Foolish Burial, Enemy Controller, Reasoning, Monster Gate, Terraforming, and Super Poly. So starting with Burial, so if you don't have any Infernoids in your grave that you've already banished, you just send them back, you know, like all 3 of them back into the grave. And then 1-for-1 is obviously just for our Decatron. And then Foolish Burial is like for just anything you want. You can send an Infernoid if you don't have any, like a lot in your grave. Or you can send Diablos or Snow. And Enemy Controller is also like some spice I put into this deck. Because if you have Lair in the field, you can tribute one of their monsters and then take control of the other that they have. And then Reasoning is just to get some like more mills in the deck. Because you want to see like as many cards in your graveyard as possible. And the same thing with Monster Gate. You can also, like, if you have Lair on the field, you can just tribute one of their monsters and then, you know, just mill for free. And then Terraforming, I don't run 2 because I'm already running Metaverse, this, and we have the 3 Arima. So I just leave Terraforming at 1. And then we have Super Poly, which is also some spice I put into this. So you basically discard a card. Like I said, like, Infernoids don't mind being in the grave. And then you can just, like fusion into Starving Venom using 2 of their dark monsters if you have Lair in the field. And so that's going to wrap up the spells for the deck. Next, we have triple Void Feast to start the traps off. Now, like I said, if you can open with Lair and this turn 1, you should be able to shut down their entire turn, because you would have the 2 Decatrons, and then you also have the Sajet, which can control their graveyard, and then you can also negate and banish spell and traps, as well as their monsters. So, and you contribute them just to get their effects. So, starting with Lair and Void Feast is, you know, always a good thing. Next, we have Deck Devi, as well as Eradicator. So, like I said, this is just some more spice. You can get this out with Lilith, and you can basically tribute one of their monsters to get off their effects, and just either, you know, rip them of spells or traps or monsters with 1500 or less. And then to end the traps, we have Torrential Tribute as well as Metaverse. So Metaverse is basically like, if you don't get your Lair out like how you want to, like if you don't draw it, you can just open it with Metaverse. And then Torrential, you know, it's just for like backup, just in case you're not getting anything that you like, so you can just, you know, blow up the field. So that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, it's pretty like all up to preference, to be honest. So we run Borreload, Beauregard, Decode, Phoenix, Link Karibo. So if they Valor or Ash your Decatron, you can just link it off into Link Karibo. And all of these are just like for link climbing, you know, just to get out a Borreload or Beauregard, depending on, you know, the situation. And then next we have Infernoid Tiara. I'd actually never get this out. Like I told you, like I only use Void Imagination just so I can get Void Feast, you know, playable or like out on the field. And then if we do manage to get this out, we have the 3 Elder Entity to send to the grave for its effect to just get 3 pops on the board. And then next we have Dark Law, as I explained earlier, and Starving Venom. So this is basically like the Mass Change 2 and the Super Poly. So, and then next for Synchros, we have Dragster. So, like I said, you have the level 4 tuner, which is Raiden, and then, you know, cards like Finished Rhino Warrior are, you know, level 3, or if your tour guide gets Ash or Valor or whatever the case may be, you can just tune them and then go into this, and it's a free, like, it's a free spell, not a free, but like you just reduce its level by 2 and then negate a spell or a trap. And then next we have Black Rose and Scarlight. So you can play some more like level 8s than this, or actually you can replace Black Rose for like anything you want, you know. But I rarely get this out, and this is like, I mean, like you basically just like wipe their field and then burn them, and then you could still swing for 3K. So this is like always a good thing when he gets out. And then last but not least, we have one Dante. He's basically like the tour guide and the Phoenix Rhino Warrior play. So when you get him out, you can just mill 3, and you know, like I said, like you want to mill as much as possible when it comes to this deck. Okay, so that wraps up this deck profile for today. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile we did. I will be taking this deck to regionals to test it out. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys next time.